Howdy everybody, how y'all doing? And welcome to the Ice House, where we try to keep things cool, calm, collected, and mostly a bit chill. Yep. Well, I think we've all seen that the reactions and the responses and the sometimes questionable if it's fake outrage because of, as we've kind of been discussing this week, there's been a lot of those videos where somebody's in a car or somebody's freaking out and it's really well framed, hair and makeup are on point, wardrobe's great, it's just kind of seems a bit well produced. And sometimes you wonder, how many takes did it take the person to make this video, to put it on the internet, make sure the rage and the emotions were just spot on good enough? Because, well, like we've talked about before, the parasocial network, the trolls, all the internet, the currency is memes, and the currency is, trolling each other and stuff, so I still wonder if some of the people, if it's a bit of disingenuous, trying to ride the wave, trying to be seen, get their 15 seconds of fame, or if they're lucky, I do think that there are some people that might be competing to, maybe they want to be the face of a certain meme, or the poster child for the meme of the next few years of the re-eing or the freak out or something, because it's definitely a good point in history that all the people freaking out this week, it's gonna go away eventually, but somebody is gonna just be over the top and you won't be sure if they meant it or if they're just trying to stage it, and yep, they'll turn into a meme like everybody else that does. Maybe they'll try to invest in an NFT or maybe some Bitcoin, or how it goes. Try to be one of the Internet Hall of Fame greats, right? Well, for the rest of us who are just trying to move along and, get along with our neighbors and our friends, and, hopefully we still have our Thanksgiving plans, haven't fallen through because of some sort of political reason, right? I'll just leave it at that. Well, I've really been thinking about it because, one of the things growing up, I know a lot of you guys heard, I heard it a lot, there's the whole idea of, if you can't say nothing good, don't say nothing at all, right? Or maybe you say, if you can't say anything good, don't say anything at all. It just kind of depends on where you're from, what kind of slang you're using, and who you're trying to get to shut up, right? You know what I mean. But I think there's definitely value in that idea, right? Because in a situation that could escalate, where people are, they're frustrated, they're upset, they're a little red under the collar, that poking doesn't really always, help the situation at all. And I know, going back to the internet and the trolls and the memeing, like leaving something alone is kind of like, it's a forgotten conversation style, right? It's a forgotten art of letting something be. Because if you can get a reaction, isn't that more fun? And if you can get a reaction online, that's in the internet forever, right? So you get to publicly embarrass somebody for eternity. Great. You can win an award. Maybe you won't be the poster child, but something. Well, I think there's a lot of value in the whole silence, in the whole not engaging, like I've talked about before. But sometimes that's not quite enough, right? Because, going back to the social media thing, right? So about 20 years ago, when Facebook became open to everybody, right? It wasn't just message boards and chats and all, AOL chats and all that. Now you had Facebook that could be connected to your real identity, and so you could connect with people from high school and from college, right? I know it opened up to colleges at first, but then it was kind of opened up to everybody. And then, well, here's the thing, right? I would say probably about 20-ish years ago, 18 to 20 years ago, the phrase of vague booking became definitely a household, definitely a coined phrase. Not a Dogecoin phrase, just a coined phrase. See what I did there. But this whole idea of, okay, there's the whole thing on one side. If you can't say anything, don't say anything at all. But then there's also that, talking about things. It's like the same thing of the vague gossip in real life, but you're doing it on the internet. So, if you know the person and the situations, you can probably tell what they're talking about. Stirring the pot a little bit more. And I just want to say that the whole idea of, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Writing it down on the internet, I think, counts as saying it, right? It's not just a verbal projection. It's anything you kind of speak for others. Because I think that whole saying kind of got around when we didn't have the internet, we didn't have message boards, and we didn't have Twitter to tweet back and forth and have, arguments for days on end, right? And I think there's a value in writing something down for your own benefit, a value in writing and processing things, because journaling has been an art for a long time, but that's not necessarily something you're meant to share, like Dear Diary or your journal for your own sake, right? And it always sucks when somebody, takes a peek at your private diary or journal, right? Things that are meant for you. Yet for some reason, this whole parasocial network has got us into taking that internal dialogue and just putting it out in the ether, like it was meant for somebody else to hear. Even though it's not fully processed, it's not really ready to be put out there, it's maybe not even edited, it's just kind of a raw thought. And I think that gets us into trouble sometimes, because if we were in the same room with somebody, if we had a moment to, look at the nonverbal cues, kind of maybe take the stutter step of, never mind, right? Because it's not worth it. But online, it becomes this whole thing that's, it seems pretty worth it, right? Or it's like I have to engage, or I have to say something, because that random thought from that random stranger showed up on my newsfeed, and if I don't engage, I will probably, have to answer for it at the pearly gates or something silly like that, right? Sometimes it feels that dire, but sometimes I don't think it really is that dire. Because, everybody else, I'm not going to go into the theology of what we will or will not have to answer at the pearly gates if you believe in that sort of thing. My point is, sometimes it's good not to say anything. Now, the other thing I've heard, and I know you've heard it a lot, is the whole silence is violence, right? Like, if you don't engage, if you don't agree, if you don't add to the fodder, somehow you're causing other people to suffer, which, in a lot of ways, I'm not so sure that's true, right? Now, there's always those moments where, if somebody doesn't do something or say something, and somebody could actually get hurt, or something happen, like, there's always that hero, we find out that, you know, the brave soul that went out of their way to, you know, take care of somebody else or save somebody else. And, well, we all want to be a hero, right? But I think there's a lot of situations where speaking up with bravado or trying to be protective or defensive of somebody else is a guise just to, well, live out our own selfish fantasies of having purpose. It really isn't the same thing, you know? Being a hero for our own sake, to feel good about our own actions, might not actually help anybody else, and sometimes it might make them worse for all of them in the long run, because we're not actually doing it for their sake at all. You know, you're gonna have to think about that one, because I know we're all a little bit guilty of that to a certain extent, because, well, trying to prove our own value sometimes in places that it's not the really place to do it, right? So, I wouldn't say silence is violence, but I would say that choosing the situation and, well, if it's something that's near and dear to your heart and people that are close to you and you feel like speaking up has value and they're, well, you care about those relationships and those people actually have a reason to listen to you, well, that's one thing. You know, and hopefully you can have grace and kindness in certain situations where people aren't agreeing. But if you just need to throw your weight into a situation that really you weren't there from the start, and maybe it's just the internet stirring the pot, and you've had a bad day, you know, maybe silence is actually golden, right? So, I don't know. Sometimes I write out responses to things on Twitter and then just click away and never put them because, well, it could be something worth adding. But maybe, is it the right place or time? Is this something that I want to say to that person? Or is this something that I want to share with the whole internet? Or is it something I think is funny that everybody might be able to laugh at and enjoy? You know, gotta think of the target audience. And the internet is a very broad, open, and vast place. So, I guess that's mostly what I have to say today, you know. And I guess the last bit of it, and maybe this is the whole bring it all back together, is, you know, the choosing not to say something that escalates, the choosing to say something that's not negative, right, or choosing not to say anything, it creates that open space, that pause, and sometimes that's enough to calm down, but, you know, and sometimes the absence of something negative allows for something positive to show up, right? Maybe if you don't react to that person in the way that you feel like it, maybe they see that you care, maybe they see that you didn't, you know, take the opportunity. Maybe that'll make them pause and see, you know, maybe this person isn't just out to get me, right? Even if you don't agree in the moment, just doing something a little bit different and showing value to the situation of the other person, well, it might go a lot further than you think. So, and then sometimes that leaves room for the positivity and, well, there's something better to show up. So, well, I've been talking long enough, so maybe it's my turn to be quiet. And if you got anything to say, you can put it down in the comments. You can hit like and subscribe and all that, and share this out if you wanna. And you know what? We'll see you next time. Bye!